वेलकम टू मेन स्ट्रीम विद हरप्रीत सिंह तूर। आप सबनों प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब एंड शलोम। Well, today is 24th, one day before Christmas. Send me an email hstour@gmail.com to communicate with me for any concerns, anything. We had a white Christmas literally in New York this morning. It was just a little powder, not much. Depending on where you are, from a quarter inch to just a little touching on the grass. But yeah, and we also had a couple of inches a couple of days ago, and freezing cold. And yeah, that's typical New York. This is how the things happen in New York, depending on where you are in New York, because New York is big. We had upstate where we had a couple of feet of snow. Because of the lake effect. Those people who live around there, or those who follow the weather and the news, they know about it. And so anyway, we are going to reaching the end of the year, so I'm going to go over a few things which happened this year, but also what to expect next year. Including like the things are happening and things are being the media, how the things are being shown or being put out in the media. You know, it's we are living actually in that atmosphere where the media dictates everything. First and foremost, I actually watched a documentary, 36 seconds. That documentary actually shows, especially for minorities who are visible, and I'm talking about the visible minority. When I say visible minorities, I'm talking about the myself, the Sikh with a beard and turban. Even though some of my fellow Sikhs call Sikh, it's not Sikh, it is Sikh. So, you know, they are like, you know, it rhymes with Sikh, but then Sikh rhymes with Sikh. So, there's nothing wrong in stating the way it is. When we try to twist, then we lose our identity, we lose a lot of things, not just the identity. So my request to those people who call themselves Sikh, stop doing that, call yourself Sikh. That's what it is, not Sikh. It's not K, it is K, Sikh. So, and in that documentary actually, you know, what really surprised me was that how the system, even though there are checks and balances, but still this, I will still call him a gentleman. You know, it just does not behoove to call anything else, especially when you are talking on the media. A Caucasian guy walks into a family, Syrian Muslims. Okay. The women had hijab, and the men, of course, had nothing, you know, no beard, nothing, just normal, except the father of the that family, he is a little bit dark skinned in the sense that it's wheatish, not white, but the kid and his wife and his wife's sister who got killed, they, if you take off hijab, you cannot figure out whether those are Muslim or those are a regular Caucasian. Okay? So he walks into this house and shoots them point blank. Okay? And also, when this thing happened, the media started the whole thing that there was a parking spot dispute. There was not a parking lot dispute. You have to watch this whole 36 seconds documentary to understand, to watch out exactly what was going on. And when that media started saying that, this doctor who was a dentist, he was in the dental school, about to finish his school. His wife also, even though before they met and got married, she was pursuing something different, but after she met him, she also decided to pursue, going into dental school. So, a well-educated family lost 3 of their members because of the hate of this person, and the media started showing it not as a hate crime, but as a parking spot dispute. And when you see the documentary, you see it's not a parking lot dispute. So, why I'm talking about it here today? The reason is because when I saw that documentary, I could associate a lot of incidences which happened. They happened with Sikhs. It reminded me Balbir Singh Sodhi being shot dead in Phoenix, Arizona after 9/11, just because of his appearance, because he was, keeping his articles of faith. I also know personally some of the Sikhs who used to be clean shaved, then they started sporting the beard and turban. 9/11 happened. They saw the attacks happening on the Sikhs. They went back again, went clean shaved, took off their turban, and so that they can actually mix into the crowd. But they don't realize that doesn't matter what they try to do to be like every other person, they can't be. Color of their skin, their features. So, the political atmosphere during the election, actually since 2016, when maybe even before that, 2015, when Trump actually came off that golden elevator in Trump Tower, declaring his candidacy to be the president, and the hatred which he spewed day in, day out, and then not accepting the results of the election, which he still does not, the 2020 election. Then 2024 happened. Yeah, Democrats did screw up, no doubt about it. But at the same time, that is not the reason. And that is not something, which made me to talk about this issue today. What made me to talk about this issue is that his hatred, the words, the way he puts out, that has created such a big divide in this country. And come January 20th, 2025, we will see. When you really look at him, the way he stands, the way he looks, he is like, I'm God. Everybody else is just my whatever you want to call subject, or whatever the word you pick it up. So, that actually is the issue. On top of that, as soon as he comes in, he is going to again block the immigration from some of the Muslim countries. That will further create a division in this country. America is not just a country. Yes, people talk about, America is, nation for everybody. America is something where you feel safe. America is something you dream about. Yeah, I don't, object to that, and I agree with that. But at the same time, that dream actually is at that point where it may not be a dream anymore. Because those 4 years, the first 4 years of Trump administration from January of 2017 through January 20th, 2021, yeah, everybody thought that, okay, it is over, it's done deal. But yes, when January 6 riots happened, the Republicans, Mitch McConnell and his group of Republicans, they had a chance to say the truth. They did not. And that actually made him even bold than that. Then the Supreme Court gave the judgment giving him leeway on a lot of things where he cannot be prosecuted. So now he is coming in even with more attitude, more damn with you, more like I'm the person. And let me state here, I'm repeating the statement which he made even before he became got elected president for the first time, that I can shoot anybody on Fifth Avenue and still the people will vote for me. That actually ended up being true at that time also, but this time definitely, it is more true. There are being given excuses, being given a lot of things why, Democrats lost, he won. Those are all, yeah, those pundits, they need something to hide behind, and that's what they are doing. So for me, the reason I am starting today's show with that, probably the second last show of this year, because I want you to understand that if you really care about yourself and your family, start growing a spine in your back. Start taking a stand. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream. Now let us talk about, overall 2024. Yes, we had elections in a lot of places, including in India. And in India, we got BJP again in power for the third time. Honorable Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister of India again, even though with less mandate than what they were expecting, less number of seats. In a way, it is good because, when you look at what is happening there, what is actually happening at that point over there is something which actually we need to be careful about, and we need to look into it, that how these things are affecting. Okay. For example, India has about 13% Muslim population, and we have a 0 in the cabinet minister for BJP, number one. Number two, I don't know how many MPs are there who are Muslims within BJP. I have no idea. Yeah, you can Google it. I'm pretty sure they have maybe 2 or 3, and because the way the things are being put up, the country is getting divided. Same way over here, it's white supremacists, the Caucasians versus everybody else. At least we had here a lot of population who are Caucasians. They do not agree with that kind of division, and they talk about it because we have the media freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of talk. And yes, some of the people will pay price for that. I will talk about that also and then coming up. including Liz Cheney. But at the same time, they are taking a stand. They are drawing a line in the sand here. But in India, it is not happening. And I was actually, listening to one of the podcasts by one of the scholars, and he talked about the Prime Minister Modi, not in any disrespectful way, but he did mention that the Prime Minister Modi knows how he can do certain things to certain community and get away with it. And that's what he did. That's what he did when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. That is what is happening under his watch. And what is actually, bothering me is that the stunning silence on the other hand, like they say, deafening silence on the other side from the Prime Minister. Doesn't matter what happens. The bulldozer Raj, the court has to step in. Manipur is burning and nothing is being taken care of in Manipur. Why? Because the people who are suffering there, they are not majority Hindus. They are minorities, the Christians. Their houses are being burned. They are getting put up in the camps. And recent elections in November, which took place in a couple of states, what was there? They literally tried to pitch in Jharkhand, Muslims against majority. One thing which I just don't understand, that 82% population of India which believes in Hinduism one way or the other, what they are afraid of. But what I am afraid of is when before the freedom, when India was one country, till Jinnah started talking about a Muslim country, there was going to be one country, and that's it. Slowly but surely, because of the attitude of some of the elected at that time, which were Congress, ultimately what happened, that Jinnah ended up breaking India. And same way, if the Muslims are ignored the way they are getting ignored and they are being pushed, we may not have one India. Remember, history is not something which is in favor of one person or the other. And history, like they say, repeats itself unless you learn from your mistakes. India used to be ruled by different rulers. Those were Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs. And if the things are not taken care of, maybe in the next 50 years, maybe 100 years, who knows, maybe even before that, India may break up again. Because let's not forget, there are countries, doesn't matter how you look at it, they always look for how to break up a weaker section, weaker person. Okay? Russia was one. Okay? It's not anymore. China actually is on its knees right now because of Western countries. What is happening now is the businesses, they are shifting from China to India. They will move from India to somewhere else, because for the business, it is where they will make the money. They made money in China for 40 years. They went on spending there, doing everything in China. Now they are moving from China because of some of the policies, some of the principles, because China became too strong for Western countries to handle, or it was getting too strong for Western countries to handle. So they started taking those measures to make China weak. So down the road, they will look at India also if India starts doing that. You know, any country who does not really give the equal rights, sooner or later it starts popping up and breaking. You know, it can become really expensive for the countries in the shape of law and order, in the shape of some other things. You know, if we really look at the whole world right now, okay, Trump's coming into the US is actually putting a pressure on Europe. There are countries in Europe who are already bidding Putin's whatever he says. And that actually can break up Europe, because Putin, when he came in, after the Russia broke, their first target was how to break the Europe. Yeah, UK is not part of Europe anyway. So whatever is left of Europe, they already are looking at it, and they are looking at US. And if the Trump, the way he is, Europe may go to China, because any country, they look at how to make the life of their citizens better. And if US push too much, you never know, because you already have, they will go to China, they will go to India, because India is an emerging market, Vietnam is an emerging market, Thailand is an emerging market, they will go to those countries. Philippines, I don't know, because Philippines is really very close to US right now. But then again, when it will come down to some of the national interest, you never know. That is geopolitics. And look at what is happening in the Middle East. What was Syria? Syria was actually, even though it was still like one country, but there were portions of Syria which was, those portions were controlled by Erdogan, Turkey, Kurdish, US, and Syria under Bashar plus Putin. Syria fell, Russia is not there anymore, US is still there, they may get forced to pull out, or they may have to put in more forces there. They already have increased their strength there, the number of troops on the ground, they have increased that. So Israel took over part of Syria, and Israel may never return those part of Syria to Syria if it ends up being one country. If, and Erdogan is going to take the maximum benefit out of it, because in Turkey there is a portion where Kurds, they live, and they actually want to have their own autonomous area, and Turkey doesn't want to, Erdogan doesn't want it to happen that way, so he may do that. Then we have ISIS/ISIL there, they have their own role. The guy actually who, overthrew the Syrian government, he was part of that ISIS at one point. Then, with the Al-Qaeda, he fell from there, he separated from them, he created his own unit. There was a 10 million bounty on his head, and now, after he took over Syria, every government wants to talk to him. That bounty is gone. Geopolitics. That's why what I'm talking about here today, those are the things which matter. Let us take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream again with the Harpreet Singh Tour. I was talking about what to expect in U.S. right now. 2-3 things which are already happening. Okay, Trump again started to start a case against Liz Cheney because Liz Cheney had the backbone and the guts to sit on the committee and talk about the January 6th rioters. You know, what he's trying to do here is he is looking to be a dictator. And that is something which actually is an issue which we need to understand, because any country which flirts with those kind of ideas, the probability is that your freedoms are definitely taken away. You know, he is not chipping away at the freedom the way usually it is done. He is already suing the people who do the polling based on that. Okay, in Iowa, when the polling took place before the election, about 3 days before the election or 2 days before the election, and I still remember I did talk about it on the show, where it was shown that Trump is losing by about 3 points. But overall, Trump won Iowa by about 10 plus points. So he's suing the pollster. So, in other words, anybody who puts out the poll, because what you are doing, you are making the calls, you are talking to the people, you are getting their opinion, and you call all this number of people. Out of that, you say, okay, I called 1,000 people, 700 answered, 300 went for candidate A, 200 for candidate B, and rest of them they went for candidate C, D, and E. Okay, it's not the pollster's fault, but he is suing. So the effects could be that any pollster down the road, they probably will not do it. In this country, the pollsters used to be really close, but not since Trump came into the picture, except some people who had made some judgments, some of the meeting the people, talking to the people. You can feel the ground, you can listen, and when you talk just normal to the people from different communities, you are able to find the pulse of the people, what they are looking at, what they are thinking of doing it. But he is saying that he is going after, he has already ordered the, even when he was not the president, within Congress, because Republicans had majority and they still retain majority, even though it is only by 1 seat in the House of Representatives. So they had a committee, but they have subcommittee. That subcommittee actually referred Liz Cheney to Department of Justice. So what that subcommittee is trying to do is that the person who is in charge of that subcommittee happens to be one of those MAGA person. The U.S. Congress person, they have total immunity to investigate for the sake of finding the truth, and based on that then trying to bring up some laws, changes into the laws, so that for example, after January 6th, there was some resolutions which actually made counting of the votes for the incoming president, whosoever won the majority, to make it more secure than what it was on January 6, 2021. So she is being pulled in now just because of that. Okay? And he is going to come after other people also. Okay? But in the meantime, if you really look at the track record of his companies, himself, he has always ended up compromising, paying the fines, and moving on. One company failed after another, after another, after another. That's how he made his billions, whatever he claims he made, either by fraudulent means, if I may say so. If you want to define them as a fraudulent means, because when you actually, any property which is worth 300,000 and if you state it is 600,000, which basically is not, and you take the loan based on that, even though the bank is giving you the loan, but it is not right way of getting the loan. He did that. There are a lot of people, billionaires, who actually are, like they say in English, kissing the ring. Jeff Bezos, like I mentioned in my last show, he did not let Washington Post recommend Kamala Harris to be the president, endorsements. Elon Musk, we have. Look at, that's a perfect example, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. The Congress and the Senate agreed on a bill, the budget. When it was supposed to go on the floor in the afternoon, the day it was supposed to go on the floor in that evening, Elon Musk made a statement, Trump endorsed that statement, the whole thing got thrown out. Why? Because Trump wanted, extra money, the what do we call, extra sanction to have added to the deficit, 1.5 or 1.6 trillion dollars, so that he doesn't have to fight that fight. Remember last time when he was the president, government was shut down because of that fight. Now he wanted not only that, he also was like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, we can keep the government shut till January 20th. We don't care, we will open it up when Trump becomes the president. It's not a private business. Try to shut down your business, man, and see what happens in that time. So Trump actually was looking at that, how come Joe Biden's presidency, there was not a single government shutdown. That is vindictive, and anybody who comes in with those vindictive attitude, they definitely do not look at the future for the long run. They just look at getting even with the people, their scores, that okay, he did this to me, I'm going to do this to him. She did this to me, I'm going to do this to her. Even though when you look at the votes, doesn't matter where you look at it, any democratic country, I always say, and I am still repeating it, you can look at it statistically, minority rules majority. Okay? But even if you get elected based on that minority voters majority, what you need to do is what you need to do basically is you should be ruling everybody. You should be inclusive, not exclusive. But no, when that exclusivity comes in, you lose your path, how to take the nation forward. You are looking at just your own personal gains, personal benefits, and stuff like that, and that is something which actually end up being an issue for everybody. The country stops developing the way it should be. The people stop thinking the way they should be. The freedom of thought, freedom, ideas are born when you have the freedom of thought. And this is where you start losing your freedom. And the steps which he is proposing, the people he is bringing in with the mandate to take the revenge, that actually will constrain some people, not everybody, but some people definitely, it will constrain them to go beyond, like they say. You know, America itself, where it stands today, it became because of those, not just the freedoms, but inclusivity. People coming in from every walk of life, from every country. The best brains came to United States, and they did their part to take it next step. Those were Muslims, those were Hindus, those were Christians, those were Jews, those were, you name it, from any religion. Those were Sikhs. You know, but if you start putting restrictions, they will actually take their innovative ideas to some other place. You know, I still remember the guy who created the Flipkart in India. He actually went to a college here, right here in the United States, and he was not given the green card and he was not given the permission to stay in this country. What did he do? He went back to India, he started his business, and Flipkart actually became one of the most successful business in India. And that is something which I'm afraid of, that we here in the United States in next 4 years, it looks like a short period for 4 years, but those intellects which you lose, they actually will put this country behind by many, many years, than not just by those 4 years. And Elon Musk, with all due respect to him, yeah, you are smart, but don't forget, SpaceX got more than $330 billion to be what it is. And the scientists from NASA Space Center, those who were trained there, they came to make SpaceX what SpaceX is. So let's not forget that. Again, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of writing, those are the fundamentals, and we should not be compromising that at any cost. With that note, good night and good luck.